Good afternoon, class. My name is Emily Chu, and today for my current event, I will be discussing anti-aging African killifish, the mechanism behind the anti-aging, and future implications. So, a quick summary of my article. Annie Burnett is a geneticist at Stanford University, and she has discovered a species that can stop the effects of time. This species, called the African turquoise killifish, have embryos that can help development during a state of suspended activity called diapause. During diapause, cell growth and organ development are put on hold, making them kind of frozen in time. This occurs during the dry months of the season when the killifish's habitat dries up. This can double the lifespan of the killifish, which I will go into more detail later on. So, some background on the killifish. The scientific name is Nothobranchius frazeri. They are native to Mozambique and Zimbabwe and live in different ponds. However, in Mozambique and Zimbabwe, there are dry seasons where the ponds will dry up for months at a time. As a result, these fish don't have a home until the rain returns. Adults live between 4 to 6 months, so this dry season doesn't really affect their life in a significant way. However, this dry season can have a detrimental effect on the embryos and their development. As a result, these killifish embryos have adapted and have come up with a mechanism to pause their growth until the rain returns. So, to look a little bit more into the mechanism, these embryos will stop growth for 5 months to 2 years. That's over 2 times their typical lifespan. Annie Burnett and her colleagues compared embryos in diapause to embryos not in diapause, and they discovered that there was no decrease in growth, lifespan, or reproduction abilities in those embryos that were in diapause. In other words, diapause had no effect on the life quality of the killifish. In addition, after they analyzed the genetics of the embryos in diapause, they discovered that genes controlling organ development and cell proliferation were turned off, whereas regulatory genes were turned on. So, a closer look into this regulatory gene. One of the genes that they discovered is called CBX7. This regulatory gene will turn on genes that maintain muscle mass and turn off genes that are responsible for metabolism. After they compared embryos with this gene and embryos without this gene, it was discovered that embryos without this gene left diapause early and had significant muscle deterioration within the first month of life. And that's a picture on the screen of a killifish embryo. So, why is this study significant? Well, in the past, species that were discovered to have a form of diapause were thought to be in passive waiting. However, this study brought to light that diapause is in fact an active state of embryonic non-development. These embryos are turning on genes and turning off genes in order to conserve muscle mass and decrease metabolism. As a result, these cells work together to protect these embryos from the passage of time. So, some future implications of this study. If scientists can discover how these genes work, it is possible to increase human lifespans from anywhere between 160 to 400 years. In addition, they could preserve different human organs, just like these killifish can preserve their organs while in diapause. Finally, they can treat age-related diseases such as Alzheimer's and dementia. So, in summary, African turquoise killifish have embryos that can help halt development and put cell growth and organ development on hold in a state known as diapause. Diapause conserves all life functions by turning genes on and off until these embryos hatch. Thank you for your time today.